Thank you so much, guys. Good morning and welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. It's time to do about 30 minutes of business on this side of the show before we head back. We start from the global space as usual. Oil prices rose on Friday, continuing to climb after OPEC Plus members Saudi Arabia and Russia indicated readiness to pause or reverse output agreement as an interest rate cut seems to be the reigning thing now. Yesterday it was at Europe, and Brent crude, looking at the numbers now, Brent crude was up 16 cents, and 16 cents is about 0.2% right there. Back, we see Brent back at $80. It's been a while, a couple of days, and a threat to Nigeria's budget funding, because the benchmark for our budget is about $77, almost 78. So when we have less than that, is a threat to our revenue. So it's good to see it back at, that's Brent, back at $80, 3 cents, while WTI from the United States is still around that $75, 71 cents, also up 0.2%. And yes, we did mention the factors driving it now. Saudi Arabia is a major one. OPEC Plus, as they had said, that Saudi Arabia and Russia tried to reassure markets on supply agreements. However, they're heading for a weekly loss after analysts saw Sunday's OPEC Plus meeting as indicating rising supply, which is bearish for markets. Attending an event in Russia on Thursday alongside the Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman had said that OPEC Plus can pause or reverse voluntary output increase. And you know that this market, they feed on information and expressions such as this. Now we come to Nigeria to look at the Naira close for yesterday. It was a good one. The Naira gained in both markets, and we do hope it builds on that today. For NAFEM, it was up 0.28%, so opened at 1,488. Numbers obviously slight there. 1,484 Naira 37 kobo is the close for yesterday. For NAFEX, 1,481 Naira 49 kobo after it opened at 1,490 Naira 53 kobo. So we've been doing about 1,004 all through this week, hovering around this, and we'll see. And we haven't heard of any CBN intervention, so it seems this is a bit stable, at least for this week. Meanwhile, Nigeria's current account balance has increased to $1.432 billion in 2024, and that's despite economic downturn ravaging the country. And this report is from the International Monetary Fund. Well, it's in its World Economic Outlook for the year. The IMF data indicates a positive outlook for Nigeria's economic growth and stability, showing a growing economy with increasing investment and savings, even in the face of erosion of investors' confidence. Nigeria's trade balance for the period under review shows a significant increase from 1.21 billion surplus seen in 2023. The rise in the country's current trade balance is largely attributed to its growing national savings and investment, even as the economy is starving for a dollar, which is why we see those steep movements in the currency market. Now, one of our banks, Wema Bank, has received an upgraded rating from Augusto & Co., validating the bank's BBB plus rated with an ESG score of 2 and confirming a stable outlook for the bank. Augusto & Co. is a pan-African credit rating agency and leading provider of industry, research and knowledge in the country as well as sub-Saharan Africa. By upgrading Wema Bank's rating from BBB, that's BBB, to BBB plus, Augusto has confirmed that Wema Bank is of stable financial standing and more equipped than ever to keep fulfilling its duties as a commercial bank with national authorization. According to Augusto & Co., the upgrade of Wema Bank's rating is underpinned by improved profitability despite macroeconomic headwinds, lower impaired loan ratio, better deposit mix, strong shareholder support as reflected in the successful rights issue exercise and perpetual issuance. They've also said that ESG score of 2. That is becoming important these days, reflecting a view on environmental, social, and governance issues, and that they have minimal impact on the rating. Talking about ESG now, the independent project monitoring company, IPMC, has launched its first ESG ratings for banking and insurance companies. The essence is to encourage more positive actions towards the environment, social and governance, especially in the banking and insurance sectors. According to the chairman of IPMC, Mr. Robert Adeodiachi, the evolution of ESG is to reflect a broader transformation in the country's financial industry. Working with regulators and stakeholders in the financial sector, IPMC has called this meeting to emphasize the need to adopt more ESG practices into daily operations. Their focus for this initial rating meeting are the banks and insurance companies, and it's a consensus that this move would bring benefit to the sector and beyond.
Research has increasingly shown that integrating ESG factors into investment and business decision leads to value. Sustainable finance is not about sacrificing returns. It's about recognizing long-term profitability and also recognizing that this is intricately linked to sustainability of their businesses. Investors are increasingly demanding that companies demonstrate their commitment to ESG principles, and those that do so are rapidly reaping the rewards.
Clergyman and former managing partner at SIAO, Mr. Ito Igodalo, believes that more value would be added if intentional guidelines and regulation is enforced.
Along the line, there might be some legislation that will be put in place through the National Assembly or whatever it is that makes it compulsory for people to have a minimum level of ESG engagement or sustainability, ESG reporting and things like that. You know, a lot of the things that insurance companies do right now is because NICOM forces them to do it. So the regulator too has a lot to play in upping up its game very quickly and ensuring that everybody knows where they're going.
In rating top performance in the adoption of ESG by banks, IPMC recognizes Zenith, Access, Stanbic IBTC, Fidelity and UBA, while insurance had AXA Mansard, Custodian and Allied Alliance Nigeria, and Custodian Life Assurance.
We want to make sure that there is adequate governance. With adequate governance, we are able to ensure that there is sustained processes in our production and in our business, such that we produce responsibly, we use the resources responsibly, we deal with our staff responsibly, then we deal with ourselves responsibly.
IPMC believes that workshops like this would encourage sustainability in doing businesses as well as harnessing human capital. Well, that was looking at the banking and insurance sectors for ESG. But let's look at the Fintechs now and see how they're doing, both for ESG and other current economic issues in Nigeria. We have the Group Managing Director of Chams Holding Company PLC, Mrs. Mayo Alanio. She joins us in the studio. Mr. Alanio, good morning, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're just talking about ESG there, although that report was focusing on, banking and insurance. But are you guys in the Fintechs, are you conscious of ESG, sustainable operations, checking the environment, governance, and socials?
Yes, of course, because we actually need this for sustainability. Everyone in the fintech industry are working on it. Currently, we are doing a lot in the area of ESG.
So like what are you changing your source of power, or, just to see if it's a practical thing in the fintech space?
Yes, it's also going by what currently happening in the economy. Changing the source of power is not something that one actually needs to contemplate, but it's something you need to go for right now. We're changing the source of power to make sure that we're complying with the ESG, and other governance aspects of it are actually being looked into as well.
Okay, so you did allude to the state of the economy at this time. But I mean, this is the day of AI and technology taking over the world. So you guys should be flourishing at this time.
Of course, we are. Fintech are indeed flourishing because of the resilience despite the economic challenges. But at the same time, you know, every sector has its own challenges.
What are some of your challenges at Fintech?
Okay. In Fintechs, you look at the economic challenges. We are currently what we are going through. The cyber issue that is going a lot of billions of naira that the companies has been losing to the cyber security. Yes, quite all right. Government is doing something a lot in that area. We give it to them, but it would be preferred if you can see more proactive approach to prevent it rather than to combat it. That is one of the things that is affecting the fintech. When we look at the policy as well, fintech is even having a lot of issues that government needs to improve on the policy by carrying the fintech company along for proper implementation of this policy in such a way that it will be a cushion to the company rather than impacting the operation. So, and a lot of more in terms of infrastructure as well. We have some little glitch in that area as well. Payment infrastructure needs to be further advanced.
Payment infrastructure these days. Perhaps you can give us a background of what's going on. It's been really, difficult using a lot of the banking apps these days. What's going on? I know it's not the rain.
Yes, the fact of the matter is that it's one of the challenges that the fintech is meant to provide solution to. But, there's supposed to be a platform and support from government to see it. I admit to the fact that the payment infrastructure is still being developed. We have some in the place, but currently, the infrastructure, the network, the internet, the cyber security, all these put together form the infrastructure facility that's required for seamless payment. And these are the areas that the country itself is having some challenges, and fintech is coming in. They are the platform for the fintech to operate. So we are working on this vis-a-vis with the government to improve the standard for seamless payment.
Please tell us how you're working with the government. Are you in talks? Do we have plans? Because you guys are supposed to prefer solution to this, and the private sector especially, because government will tell you, especially at this time, revenue is squeezed. I mean, we're still discussing minimum wage. We don't know where the number will head to. So the private sector is supposed to come in. So tell us the kind of conversations you're having with the government to deal with this, especially now, the payment system. I mean, people are losing money.
Yeah, there's a lot of ongoing conversation. But the private sector will not work in isolation, and hence there's need for partnership with the government. The largest payment infrastructure today is NIPS, and you see all the private, the fintechs, the banking sectors are connected to it, and that is where we uncheck for both private and the government to work together to ensure seamless payment.
So, I mean, you are a name in the fintech industry, especially being a woman, the first group managing director of Charms, and, you're listed. So you do have a lot of edge. Do you have conversations with these people? Do we have hope anytime soon?
Sure, there's hope. Anytime soon. We have hope. We have conversation with them, as I've said earlier, and individual organizations. You can imagine the number of switching companies we have as of today. We don't have this 5 years back. If you look back 5 years time, we don't have so. But today we have a lot of private complementing the efforts of government fair NIPS. Government is developing NIPS, the bank Habari are coming on their own, Champ Switch is there coming up, and the Ilogen is there coming up, in order to make sure that there is a robust infrastructure payment platform for the fintech sector.
Well, it sounds like we still have to wait a bit, but I mean, I just hope this, the glitch we're having these days on the payment platform is really very discouraging. People are scared of using their apps, and money is being lost and all of that. So I do hope that that's sorted out real soon. Now let's look at, you wanted to say something about that?
Yes, there's a lot of work going on the reconciliation aspect of it, and to be able to smoothen the process in such a way that the private can actually do end-to-end remittance. So very soon that will be over.
Oh, tell me about that, the end-to-end remittance. So we need to go through NIPS, is that what you're saying?
No. They will still have to go through NIPS, but a lot will be done at the back end before you get to the NIPS. So it will be that you have the inward through the NIPS and the outward will be from the private sector.
So
yes.
That's ongoing.
We are
now.
trying to uncheck, yeah, that is ongoing. So very soon you will have a seamless transaction.
We're looking
we
forward
will improve
to
upon what is going on.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But let's look at the sector, fintechs generally.
Okay.
Preferring solution at a time like this, turning lime to lemonade, and all of that. Your contribution to the GDP, what are your prospects this year?
Well, Fintechs has actually done a lot in that. Compared to other sectors in the economy, you will see that Fintech alone has contributed over 40% to the economic GDP, and there's a lot more to be done. As I've said, that we're working on the improving on the platform, definitely this is going to create a lot of more jobs for people. You expect more engineers to be developed. You expect more transactions, more inclusion, and going to the more rural area, which is actually one of the major objectives of the fintechs. So there will be more activity, more transaction, more revenue to the government, more new entrepreneurs coming up in the fintech industry for them to improve on the GDP. Yes.
So that sounds good. What about employment? The fintech space, do you have like an intentional plan, to train the young ones, to adopt them into the space, or do people just go and do trial and error?
Yeah, it's good to do trial and error, but fintech is a specialized, and I'm not sure if that will go away. But currently, there are a lot of fintech hubs, a lot of training centers, where capacity have been developed to train people. I think currently, we even say, if I have to refer to one of the marketing reports that says that coming 2025, fintech will have provided about 3 million jobs, new jobs in Africa.
2025 is next year?
It's next year that will have been about 3 million new jobs that will have been created. To achieve this, definitely there are different hubs where capacity are being developed, people are being trained, a lot of activities are coming in that will employ this. And currently, you can see that Nigeria is actually a talent pool already, where we have a lot of capacity people moving to the current. It's because they are trained, because they are developed. If they are not developed, the other country, the developed country, won't come to take our own talents that are developed, our youth to that place. So a lot of institutions are actually dwelling on that, training the graduates, enable that they acquire the required capacity to become a competent engineer that are good for fit in fintech industry. And I'm sure that will continue to progress as we can.
All right, just before I let you, I just wanted to get your, I hope this is not like taking us back, the cybersecurity levy, because you did say that cybersecurity is a huge threat to the fintech sector in the country. Are we doing well? A lot of Nigerians are happy that, of course, that cybersecurity levy has been paused, even though it's gone through, being a law. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a need? So, since you said that cybersecurity is a threat.
Yes. Well, maybe I have to thank Mr. President for pausing the cybersecurity. It is a threat, as I've said. Government is doing a lot on that. We appreciate the collaboration between the government and the fintech sector in order to combat this. But the preferred approach will have been to prevent it. And this has to do with the infrastructure. If ab initio there is a developed and a standard infrastructure coupled with the security, definitely that can go in a long way to reduce it. Rather than levy, there's so many ways that government is earning from fintech infrastructure. So coming up with that will definitely affect people, and that is why you saw a lot of reactions. And again, thanks to Mr. President for for pausing it. Even we continue, there is opportunity for the fintech to continue expanding. I'm confident that the government will earn a lot. Fair transfer fee, fair taxes, and other fee that will enable them to be able to fight cybercrime instead of coming up with additional fee, which will be additional burden on customer, of course, you and I.
Of course, and then we will run away from the cyberspace. Thank you so much, Group Managing Director of Chams Holding Company PLC, Mr. Mayowa Olaniyan.
Thank you so much,
Olaniyan.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll do a bit of markets before we head back to Sunrise Daily. That's right, the threat of food insecurity in Nigeria is real. What is the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development doing about it? We'd like to have him on the program one of these days. We're sending word to Mr. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. We'd like to have a word with you on Business Morning or even Business Incorporated, depending on your schedule. But we'd like to know what you're doing to avert the threat that's coming really close to Nigeria when it comes to food security. Now let's head to the market, the financial market, and see how that closed yesterday, beginning, of course, with our most beloved NGX, the stock market in Nigeria. That was back in the red at the close of trade yesterday, 0.15%, even though we still have the 99,000 level right there. 56 trillion naira is still the major one for the market cap, even though we lost 84 billion naira. And yesterday we did see that the Fugas, they did good. They did well. Not the Fugas, others in the banking sector, I beg your pardon, but we saw that banking dropped as at the close of trade yesterday. There you have it. Banking was down. Consumer goods was down. Industrial goods were unchanged. That's the status we'll normally see for oil and gas. But O&O did a very good move yesterday. That brought the oil and gas sector up 0.28%. And insurance, those penny stocks, sometimes they just creep behind, and we see a lot of bargain hunting on them. Looks like perhaps investors are just looking for somewhere safe, maybe long-term hold, and then we see movement with insurance. So yesterday was one of those days, Thursday straight. It was up. The activity charts we see is mixed with deals that only red there after going down, reducing more than 12% at the close of trade. Top trades will give you a little bit of an idea. Fidelity Bank, you know, 2 days ago they had that signing ceremony, coming to agreement and plans ahead of the recapitalization. But the day afterwards, we saw a lot of profit taking, bringing that stock down. This is the volume of trade, but it went down yesterday about more than 9% at the close of trade. The stock price was down. Well, we'll hope investors will maybe take advantage of that and perhaps hop on that. We're having a conversation with Fidelity Bank executive later on Business Incorporated. So you might want to join us then, find out what's going on. If it's a good place for you to put your money, especially now that recapitalization is in the cloud. So don't forget, 1 p.m. Business Incorporated, you get more information. Access Co also did a bit of trading yesterday, 42.38 million in volume. O&O, remember, there was bargain hunting on O&O yesterday, traded 28.62 million. So while this was profit taking, this was bargain hunting, reduction, increase. And so we saw, of course, what happened to their counters. Let's go to the listed market. At the close of trade yesterday, we saw a slight drop in the all-share index of the NESD, 0.01%. 1,488.61. Market cap, just about 2 trillion naira. On the activity, we saw more of greens. Volume was in the green. Value was, however, down, lost 27.60%. Deals gained more deals than the previous day. Stocks traded were 8, and that's about 33.3% higher than the day before. That's the NESD. Well, we'll have more conversations on the market and bigger conversations around the world of business. Remember, we also have that conversation on Fidelity. You want to see if it's a good place for you to put your money. Join us at 1 p.m. Business Incorporated. I'll be back and I'll be on with Aniti Edet, who will come with the market. And let's do 55 minutes of business at 1 p.m. But now let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.